From the day I first started my marketing agency, working with HVAC companies, to the day I actually became an HVAC tech myself, that whole journey took me about 4 years. And honestly, most of that timing was me overthinking it. I spent months researching different training programs, trying to figure out which certifications mattered, wondering if I needed to go to trade school, and all of that was because I thought there was this traditional path I had to follow. You can become an HVAC tech way faster than that 100%. I've watched people waste years and tens of thousands of dollars on trade school programs that don't actually prepare them for the job. And I've seen guys spend forever collecting certifications that employers don't even care about. So I started asking myself, if I could go back knowing about what I know now, what would I do differently? And that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. I'm removing all the fluff and showing you the fastest way to go from zero experience to working as an HVAC tech in 3 to 6 months. And throughout this video, I'll be sharing the 3 major mistakes every beginner makes when trying to break into HVAC. And let me tell you personally, you do not want to make those mistakes because it costs a lot of time, money, and energy. So stay tuned here for those. There's different ways to become an HVAC tech, but most of them will have you sitting in a classroom for months, spending thousands of dollars on trade school before you even touch a real system or even tools. I'm going to show you that exact path that took me from zero HVAC knowledge to landing my first tech job in less time than it takes most people to finish their first semester. And now I'm making around $60,000 a year in my first year. But here's the thing, if you choose the wrong way, you'll burn thousands, you'll waste 12 to 24 months and still struggle to get anyone call you back, while people who know this faster route are already earning and getting hands-on experience. All right, so before I tell you the exact steps to break into HVAC, you need to understand where this career actually fits in the bigger picture. Because most people think HVAC is just fixing air conditioners. That's like saying software engineer is just a person that types on a computer. There's way more to it, and to be honest, I was oblivious to it when I was doing my marketing agency, transitioning into an HVAC tech. HVAC breaks down into a few different paths. You've got residential, so that's like going to people's homes, fixing their heating and cooling systems, doing maintenances, and talking to them and communicating with them on why something costs that much. Then there's commercial, where you're dealing with bigger buildings, more complex systems. Usually the pay is better, and you can specialize in service and maintenance, which is like diagnosing problems and keeping systems running. Or you can go the install route, which is more physical while you're putting in new systems, running ductwork, doing the heavy lifting. And here's what's cool about this field. You're working with 3 main skill areas. First, safety knowledge. I'm talking OSHA protocols, handling refrigerant properly, electrical safety, and working with compressed gases. This is not optional stuff. This is what keeps you alive and keeps your licenses clean. Trust me, you don't want to do anything wrong there. Second, you need to understand the systems themselves, the refrigeration cycle, how heat pumps works, both in cooling and heating, combustion principles, electrical circuits. This is a theory that separates a good tech from someone who's just guessing. And you want to be a good tech because good techs get paid. And third, practical skills, using tools, brazing copper pipe, reading gauges, diagnosing issues in the field. I'm breaking this down for you because most people make one of the 2 mistakes. They jump straight into a helper job with 0 foundational experience and they're lost. Or they spend $10,000 at a trade school learning stuff they could have learned for a fraction of the cost. Understanding what you're actually getting into, the real scope of work, the skills you need, the different paths available, that's what lets you make a smart decision about how you start. And speaking of how to start, here's where almost everyone gets it wrong. The traditional path is to go to trade school. You pay $5,000 to $20,000 a year to sit in a classroom for 1 to 2 years and get some hands-on with equipment, and then you start looking for jobs. And look, I'm not saying trade schools are bad. They've got value, but the thing is, you can learn the same foundational knowledge way faster and way cheaper and still just be as attractive to employers. I'm going to share with you the smarter approach. You want to learn the theory and fundamentals online first. Get the foundations locked in, the safety protocols, how systems work, what the tools do basic troubleshooting. Then you go into the field as a helper or apprentice and you're already ahead of the game. You show up on day one knowing what a condenser is, understanding the refrigeration cycle, and being able to talk about the work. That is something that I didn't have. Learn from my mistakes. And that's exactly what the Course Careers HVAC course is designed to do. The course is taught by Tim DeStasio. This guy started in HVAC in high school, spent 12 years in the field, then started and ran his own HVAC business for a decade before selling it. Now he works as an HVAC consultant, designing mechanical systems and training contractors all over North America. So when he teaches this course, he's teaching you from real world experiences, not just theory. Here's what the course covers. You start with safety, OSHA standards, PPE, handling refrigerants, electrical hazards, all the stuff that keeps you out of the hospital and safe. You do not want to get burnt by refrigerant. It sucks. Then you learn about the systems, gas furnaces, heat pumps, air conditioning, refrigerant cycles, how everything works together in both regular and high static systems. You get into the tools and fabrication, sheet metal, copper brazing, pipe threading, electrical wiring, then maintenance and service procedures, filter replacement, coil cleaning, refrigerant recovery performance, and at the end, it's all taught through video lessons that actually show you how everything works. Plus, it's field demonstration videos, so you're seeing how this stuff works in real situations, at real homes, not just a drawing on a whiteboard or in a boring book. This whole thing costs $499 one time. Compare that to $5,000 to $20,000 for trade school, and most people can finish this between 1 and 2 months depending on how much time they put in. So instead of spending a year or two in a classroom, you're job ready in 8 weeks. Now here's why this approach is actually better than jumping straight into a helper job with zero knowledge. When you show up to an interview or a first day of work and you already get the basics, you know what recovery means, you know the difference between high side and low side pressures, you've seen someone do brazing, and also how to fit copper pipe. Even if you haven't done it yourself, the company knows that you are serious. You literally invested in yourself before you needed to do anything. That means you are trainable. And in the HVAC world, being trainable and having a good attitude is worth more than a piece of paper, because a lot of guys in the field aren't trainable and they have a lot of ego. Companies expect to train you. They don't need you to show up as a master technician on day one. What they need is someone who won't hurt themselves, who gets the fundamentals well enough to follow instructions, and who's eager to learn. That foundation from Course Careers is what gets you in the door, and let's make the most of that on-the-job training. But knowing the material is only half the battle. You still actually have to land the job. And this is where the HVAC world is completely different from techs or other industries. In tech, you apply online, you do a phone screen, you solve problems. You might never even meet your interviewer in person until you get hired. Let me tell you, HVAC doesn't work like that. HVAC hiring is local, it's personal, and it's all about proving you're someone worth training. Here's the exact process you should follow. Step 1, decide if you can actually handle the work. This job isn't sitting at a desk. You're lifting equipment, you're in attics, you're in crawl spaces, you're outside in the heat and cold. If you're not okay with physical work, this job is not for you. But if you are, you're going to love it because every day is different and you're solving real problems with your hands. This is where Course Careers can help you out now. For free. They have a free intro to HVAC course that breaks down all the stuff you'll be doing on the job and what you can expect in the industry, so you can make sure it's a good match before you spend any time or money going after this. I'll leave the link in the description down below. Now, step 2, most people don't do this. Make a list of 30 to 50 HVAC companies within a 20-mile radius of where you live. Not online job postings, actual companies. Call them directly. Walk in if you have to. Ask if they're hiring or if they need a helper or apprentice. The smaller local companies are often your best bet because they're more willing to train someone green who shows initiative. And when I say green, I mean someone that doesn't know anything like me a year ago. Step 3, go to every interview you can. Even if it's a company that doesn't seem like your first choice, you need practice. You need to meet people in the industry, and you never know where a connection might go. Relationships are gonna be your best friends. And here's the secret sauce that most people miss when you're in that interview. Don't just talk about yourself. Ask the owner or the hiring manager about their goals for the company. What are their 1-year goal, 5-year goals, 10-year plans? Where do they want to go to? What's their bottleneck right now? And then think about how you can be part of that solution. This shows them that you're not just looking for like a paycheck, you're looking to help them build something. That mindset shift right there will put you ahead of 90% of applicants. And here's a bonus tip. If you're handy, if you know how to use basic tools, anything that shows you're good with your hands, you got to mention it. I wasn't, so I wasn't able to. But if you are, you got to take that. If you're coachable and willing to admit when you don't know something, that is gold. Companies aren't looking for a know-it-all. They're looking for people they can actually work with. Now let's talk about the 3 big mistakes people make when they're trying to break into HVAC, because if you can avoid these, you're gonna get hired way faster. Mistake number 1, thinking you need expensive trade school before you can even start applying to jobs. This is the biggest myth in the industry. Yes, some people do go to trade school and they do fine, but it's not a requirement. What companies actually want is someone with basic knowledge, a good attitude, and willingness to learn. Trade school is an option, but it's not the only option. And for most people, it's not even the best option when you look at the time and money invested and involved. Ready for mistake number 2? Here it is. Not understanding that HVAC hiring is about character, not credentials. Nobody's gonna be checking your GPA. Nobody cares if you went to a fancy school. What they care about is, can you show up on time? Can you pass the drug test? Do you have reliable transportation? Are you coachable? Are you someone who's going to work hard and not complain? That's it. That's the bar. I've seen this firsthand. One of my clients who got me into HVAC didn't hire me because I had some impressive resume. He hired me because he saw how I ran my marketing business. He saw that I kept my word, that I delivered results, that I showed up and did the work. And he knew that if I brought that same attitude to HVAC, I'd be successful and his company would be successful. So focus less on having amazing credentials and more on being the kind of person people want to work with. And mistake number 3, giving up too early or being too picky about your first job. There's been plenty of times that I want to give up. Don't give up, guys. Look, your first HVAC job probably isn't going to be perfect. You might be making $500 a week as a helper. You might be doing the grunt work like carrying equipment, cleaning up job sites, handing tools to the lead tech. That's normal. That's how everyone starts. The goal isn't to land your dream job on day 1, because that's just not how it works. And if you find a way, let me know. The goal is to get experience, because once you're in and you start learning, the progression is fast. I went from $500 a week to $2,400 to $3,000 bi-weekly in less than a year. And I'm on track to make $60,000 a year in my first year in HVAC. Especially when you factor in commission, it's gonna be a little bit more than that. The top techs I know are making $80,000 a year plus. And the owners are making way more than that. But you can't get there if you never start. Don't skip on interviews because the company seems too small or the pay seems too low. Do not turn down opportunities because it's not exactly what you pictured. You need to get your foot in the door, prove yourself, and the money and opportunities will follow. You also need to prove to yourself that you can do this. I didn't think I could do this HVAC work before. You're probably wondering, where do I actually start? How do I take action to this? Here's what I recommend. Go to Course Careers and start the free intro course for HVAC. It will walk you through what the career actually looks like, what the course teaches, and whether it's a right fit for you. If you decide to join the full course, you'll get lifetime access to all the material, safety, systems, tools, maintenance, everything. You'll have the option to add one-on-one coaching if you want extra support, and it's pretty affordable too. And there's a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you go through it and decide it's not for you, you get your money back. No risk. And I'll be straight with you. I haven't gone through Course Careers myself because I learned HVAC directly in the field, but I've gone through the course and I've seen what it covers. And based on everything I know about the industry and what companies actually look for, this is the best way to get started into HVAC if you don't already have a mentor or a connection who's going to train you. It's giving you the foundation that makes you a valuable helper or apprentice from day 1. And it's doing it in a fraction of a cost. If you use the link in the description below, you'll get $50 off the full course, and the instructor, Tim DeStasio, he's the real deal. Over a decade running his own business, now consulting and training contractors. You're learning from someone who's been in the trenches and knows exactly what matters. Here's the bottom line. The path to becoming an HVAC technician isn't complicated. Learn the foundations, safety, systems, tools. Then take 1 to 2 months with something like Course Careers, Then you want to reach out to 30 to 50 local companies and you go and show up to the interviews. After that, you want to land a helper or apprenticeship position. That's where the real learning happens, in the field, on the job, getting your hands dirty. Within a year, you're making decent money. Within a few years, you'll be making $75,000 or more. And if you got the drive, you can eventually start your own business and make even more than that. Plus, this is an AI-proof career. It's a career where you're solving real problems and people are grateful when you fix their heating and air conditioning. Trust me, I look like a superstar when I fix someone's cooling in Alabama. It's a career with work-life balance. I work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. on most days, which gives me time for my families and side projects like going to the gym. And it's a career where you can build real wealth if you play your cards right. So if you're tired of dead-end jobs, if you want a skill that's absolutely valuable, if you want to get paid well without going into debt for a 4-year degree, this is it. Start with the free intro course, see if it clicks, and if it doesn't, commit to the process and get after it. And if it does, commit to the process and get after it. The opportunity is there. You just have to take it. Links in the description. I'll see you guys out in the field.